All right, guys, so we're going to take a look at some of the lights that we have inside of Octane. We come in here and I bring in a light. We have our Octane Spotlight. Now, right off the back, you would think this would be a pretty much general spotlight, which it is, but it's actually a little bit more special. If we grab this here, we can move it and pivot around. But you notice we do have some volume kind of like showing up here. So again, I can pull this down. This also controls the spread of it. Now, if we look over here at the node for this setup here, you notice it's a little bit different than any of the other outputs that we've had for light. We come here, we have the throw distance, and that is basically controlling this volumetric fog that we basically have. You can see it's kind of like a spotted fog light, basically. And it, I think it helps on render times a little bit, maybe than setting up a full volumetric environment. Maybe you can just fake it with some fog lights. We do also have the clone width here, which I'm not seeing it kind of working here. Like, I don't really see any results, but I think it's kind of like similar to this thing, grabbing this here, the cone width. Then we have the hardness. We can shoot that down small. I can open that up and you can see the edge here is also, but if we look at, it's not really putting out a lot of serious light, which is also another interesting thing. Then here we have the material. And again, I haven't really played too much with this light. We'll get into it more later in the future as I get into some more advanced topics here. But let's quickly see if we can throw a black body on here. Well, that works like that. We can throw a black body on there. And then again, I'm not getting anything on that. Cone width, like almost seems like everything has locked up. I do still have control of the fog there. So there's that. I'm gonna go ahead and kill that. But what is interesting here too, we also can plug in a light medium. Again, adding some more fog, but it already pretty much has fog on it. If you hear it add it now, it's 0. Now we don't see any of it. But still, it's a very dim spotlight. I've showed you how to use the spotlight distribution node, which will probably work more better if you're looking for a traditional spotlight. But this does add some volumetric effects here. The barn doors here, we can also control the barn doors. If I go ahead and it's a little bit sensitive, if you slowly bring it, now you can see that we're like cutting the light in half because we're adding the barn door inside of there. And the same vice versa. Here's the opposite side. And let's kind of make this edge harder so we can see what's happening. And if you actually get up underneath the light, you can literally see the barn door taking effect on that. Like you can see, it's like literally putting a plane in front of that. And I've worked in theaters and we use this to basically shape the light or cut it off in certain areas where we don't want it to be. So if I come here and again, let's grab this other one here and just kind of add the barn door, and you can see that there's this line that's kind of like blocking the light. So it's kind of like, you can literally see it right there in the shadow. You can see the effect of the barn door actually happen. There it is too. You can see another one of them too. So that is, there we go. The volumetric spotlight is pretty much like it says. It's just literally volumetric. So I think interesting. Yeah, that's not really doing too much. As I learn more about this, we can get into that in future videos and more advanced videos. But that is a quick run through of the volumetric spotlight. Quick update on the IES lights. This is version 2. I was doing some more studying and I found a really good setup here that I like a little bit more better, and it's more efficient and it actually closer to real world specs than the other setup here. So I'm going to walk you through that setup here. This is the setup. Basically, we take a diffused material, make the color black, and you're pretty much good on everything else. Make sure your opacity is set to 1. Obviously, you could do that to 0 too, but it's better to set it to 1. Black body emission for real world color temperatures. Here you can see these different color temperatures are based off of real world values with the black body emission. And then what we do is we take a Gaussian spectrum node. Again, if I take this node and disconnect it, this node coming in default will kind of do this. You plug it into the texture, we'll get this weird color. This node replicates all the true color wavelengths in light. Okay, and we can reproduce them here. So the manual says to set these and put them to 1, put everything to 1. And then if you want to control the brightness of the light, you can come in here, go to power brightness, and you can control the power and the brightness right here. Again, I'm running it at 6500, so that's pretty much a neutral color. always use an RGB image. I have my RGB image in, and then what we do here, instead of having the other projections that we kind of use, we can add in a spherical projection. And if I reset this back to default and you plug it in, you'll see that it's not acting right again, which we tried to correct in the other setup. So in this case, we set the spherical switch and come in here, normal space, IES lights, click on that, boom, now it is. And if you can quickly see, there is my plane and it's aiming straight down. So now if I wanted to rotate that, I can rotate on the Y. Oh, if we grab the light itself and not the plane. If I rotate on the Y, but I have the other light, you can see there it's rotating properly. It's going to rotate on the X. There it is, it's rotating properly. And then if I go ahead and just do a free rotation, there it is. So like it works a lot more better this way. I particularly like this setup a little bit better. So here it is. Here is the setup again. Again, just so I could clarify, once you come in here to look for your files, if this blue light is checked or if this is checked, you won't see the IES files. Turn off Blender's filtering, and there it is, IES file, there they are. Again, if the filter's on, you will not see that. Guys, if you enjoyed this and you want to go deeper with Blender Octane in particular, I do have a Blender Octane community. I'm giving a 7-day free trial to the community where you can get more access to content like this. Plus, you can get access to the Blender Octane 101 guide as it's being released, as it's being built. And I also have material libraries, databases of nodes and different types of things to help you learn Octane Blender and an engaging community. So if that's something you might be interested in, take a look down, 7-day free trial. Hey, if you don't like it, then you can just leave. Catch you in the next one. Take a look at the next video in the guide. Peace.